You've survived another week. Thank you for listening, downloading, and subscribing to the Black Man with a Gun Show. And I'm your host, your friend and brother from another mother, Ken Blanchard. This show is sponsored by the United States Concealed Carry Association, Crossbreed Holsters, and Patreon supporters like you. This week, happy birthday, Marines. Salute to the veterans. And what you ought to know about the Texas Tower shooting of 1966. And a good friend of ours, U.S. Army disabled vet, Michael J. Woodland, and I just start blabbing at the end of the show. And I think I got some news in here too. Yeah, I do. All this under the washer and dryer of the Blanchard estate. And I want to share something with you after John Wayne leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, this morning I had an epiphany. And look, that's a good word. You looked that up. I realized that I've been going through a depressive state, saddened by where I perceive myself to be at this stage of my life. And if it weren't for my faith, I'd be really lost. The loss of my dad and my uncle kind of hit me, and I didn't cope with it too well. And when it comes to my podcast and online stuff, I've been doing pretty good with that. I mean, consistent. This is episode 580, for example. But I'm not doing everything that I could be doing to make this thing better. I'm asking for your forgiveness. Please accept my apology for not doing the best I could. I've been systematically self-deprecating, angry, frustrated. I've been one of those dudes in the Muppet chair, a grumpy old man. I've only been better when I'm helping others, and not too many people have been asking for my help, so I've been in a funk. So I'm sorry. Okay? Trying to get better in 2019. I got some plans for this show. We're going to do a whole lot better. Are you ready for it? Let's rock this thing. November 10th is known around the world as the Marine Corps birthday. I think what makes a Marine special, if only in our own minds, is that elusive quality of esprit de corps. It's the fact that we as individual Marines don't feel that we are individual Marines. When we wear our uniform, when we hear our hymn, when we go into battle, we are going with every other Marine who's ever wore the uniform. Standing behind us are the Marines who fought during the birth of our nation. We're standing with the Marines who fought in World War I and gave birth to the legend of the Tuffenschund, or Devil Dogs. We're standing with the Marines who took Iwo and Tarawa and countless other blood-soaked islands throughout the Pacific. We're standing with the Frozen Chosen and our beloved Chesty Puller. We're standing with the Marines who battled at Hue City and Khe Sanh and the muddy rice paddies of Southeast Asia. We are standing with the Marines who fought in Desert Storm and Iraqi Freedom and are now fighting in Afghanistan. Like real brothers, their blood courses through our veins. And when we go into battle, we would rather lay down our lives than be a disappointment to them. We carry on our backs their legacy, their deaths, and their honor. We carry that for the rest of our lives. The Marine Corps uniform doesn't come off when our active duty is over. We wear it daily in our attitude and our love of Corps and country. We wear it on our tattoos, our bumper stickers. We wear it in our hearts. It's why, no matter where we are in the world on November 10th, every Marine celebrates the Marine Corps birthday. It's why we'll never be an army of one. It's why we'll never stop being Marines. It's why, for most of us, being a Marine isn't something we were. It's something we are. It's the most important part of who and what we are. Some say we're arrogant. Some say we're proud. We have a right to be proud. We are the United States Marines, the most feared and ferocious group of warriors to walk the face of this earth. When America's enemies formulate their battle plans, they plan on going around Marine units because they know damn well that they can't go through them. We are what other branches wish they were. We are modern-day Spartans. This isn't bragging. It's written in the battle history of our country. When there's a parade and the Marines march by, everybody pays a little bit more attention. Some say it's arrogance. We call it pride. It's why, in a crowd of servicemen, you can always spot the Marine. Why are Marines special? I don't know. We just are. Often tested, always faithful. Brothers, forever. Happy birthday, Marines. Semper Fidelis. Hoorah! This upcoming news segment has been sponsored by ammo.com. Save 20% when you spend over $200 at ammo.com. Make sure you use the coupon code ammo.com/blackmanwithagun. And now, the news.
Direct from our newsroom in Washington, in color.
I'm sad to report that 12 people, including a sheriff's sergeant, were killed in a mass shooting at a crowded Southern California bar on November 7th, 2018. The Borderline Bar and Grill in Thousand Oaks in California was filled with college students when witnesses say a gunman dressed in a trench coat shot the bouncer at the front door and then fired multiple rounds. Police found the shooter dead inside, possibly from a self-inflicted wound. By the time of this recording, you'll probably get more details. Many of the people at the bar were local students there to celebrate college country night. Witnesses say people were dancing and having a good time when somebody stormed in, threw in smoke, and then began firing. Another sad story was in Phoenix, Arizona. Deputies say that an 11-year-old boy shot and killed his grandmother because he didn't want to clean his room. The Maricopa County Sheriff's Office got a call Saturday evening from a man who said his grandson shot his wife, 65-year-old Yvonne Woodard, and then himself. The grandfather told detectives that he and his wife asked the boy to clean his room and pick up after himself throughout the day because he was being stubborn about it. When the couple sat on the couch to watch TV, the boy came up behind him and shot his grandmother in the back of her head with his grandfather's gun. The grandfather tried to go after the boy, but eventually turned around to care for his wife. It was then that his grandson killed himself. The grandparents had full custody of their grandson. The sheriff's office said there is still an ongoing investigation. This is just another reason for locking your firearms up, brothers and sisters. Taking care of your family. I heard, I haven't got the official word yet, but it was a Marine who killed himself. They say it's PTSD. Again, we have people who are hurting and we're not taking care of them. We're too busy chasing the Kardashians or whatever, watching Empire, or whatever we're wasting our time on, but we're not taking care of each other. And that's more important. MarylandShallIssue.org. It's an all-volunteer, nonpartisan organization dedicated to the preservation and advancement of gun owners' rights in Maryland. It seeks to educate the community about the right of self-protection, the safe handling of firearms, and the responsibility that goes with carrying a firearm in public. MarylandShallIssue.org. This is the group, your group, the grassroots group in the state of Maryland. Join us. No matter where you are, MarylandShallIssue.org. I got some news from MSI, Maryland Shall Issue. They'll be attending 3 gun shows this month, one at Jarrettsville, VFW, one other at Frederick County Fairgrounds, and one out in Chantilly, Virginia. They say they really appreciate those who come out, and they need a lot of volunteers this month. If you'd like to volunteer, you get free admission. Send an email to events@MarylandShallIssue.org with your contact information if you're interested. Also, there'll be a December membership meeting, their quarterly meeting, December 1st, 2018, at the Annapolis Elks Lodge. The membership meeting started at 1:30, with more details to come. That's MarylandShallIssue.org. want to give you something that you ought to know about the Texas Tower shooting of 1966, also called the University of Texas Clock Tower shooting, mass shooting in Austin, Texas on August 1st, 1966, in which Charles Whitman, a student and former Marine, fired down from the clock tower of the campus of the University of Texas and killed 14 people, wounding 31 others, one of whom died years later from complications. Charles Whitman began a murder spree by firing his scoped rifle from atop a 330-foot clock tower in Austin, Texas. When police 38s and buckshot proved impotent at that distance, private citizens on the ground returned fire on Whitman with hunting rifles and target rifles. Whitman was forced to take cover and stop shooting. Armed citizen Allen Crum then led Austin policemen Houston McCoy and Ramiro Martinez to the top of the tower. Crum fired the first shot of the encounter, which may have broken Whitman's plan to ambush the officers, and McCoy and Martinez shot Whitman dead. Martinez later publicly credited the armed citizens for stopping the killing. They became heroes, not defendants. This was long before Columbine, Virginia Tech, Sandy Hook, Aurora, Parkland, and even the thing in Kentucky, the school in Kentucky and Santa Fe, and what I just reported on this week. A clean-cut architecture and engineering student wheeled a dolly full of guns and ammunition onto the tower elevator, made his way into the observation deck, and began shooting at people 27 stories below. By the time it ended, 96 minutes later, people were dead and wounded, derailed by mental illness and just plain evil. Whitman had started his rampage the day before, killing his mother and his wife. The death toll would surely have been higher if it had not been for those armed citizens. Something that I learned from the Israelis, or from one Israeli in particular. Shout out to you, Tomer, wherever you're at right now. Go to the fight as fast as you can. It's pretty much like a fire. The faster you can put it out, the less lives are lost. If you allow it to spread, if you allow time to lapse, people die. Armed citizens matter. I'm just putting that in your head. No matter what's going on in the world, you making a difference, you standing up as soon as the threat comes. Stop it, and you save lives. I want this audience, you, my friend, to remember that you can make a difference. I don't care what the politicians say about military-style rifles, about ARs. You see a threat, stop the threat. A few years ago, a friend of mine started this thing called the United States Concealed Carry Association. It's an education, training, and self-defense insurance company now. It's for responsible gun owners. You can get complete peace of mind when you join USCCA today. If you carry a gun for self-defense, you need this. It's a whole package: education, training, and self-defense insurance. Call my friend. The number is 1-877-488-8353. And if you missed that, go to the link at blackmailthegun.com for USCCA. And while I'm journeying through here, make sure you check out United States Concealed Carry Association for real. They got some good stuff about church shootings and church security and personal security and just some good stuff on first aid and taking care of your family. It's all about family. That's why we do this. You got me? Check out the link at uscca.blackmailthegun.com.
This portion of the show is sponsored by CrossbreedHolsters.com. Crossbreed Holsters has gained national recognition as a maker of the best and most functional concealment holsters available on the market today. Each holster is handcrafted to ensure your firearm is safe and secure while carrying, combined with the best customer service in the industry. Visit CrossbreedHolsters.com.
All right, I want to give the boss lady from Crossbreed Holsters a shout out. Carolyn became a grandmother this week. I want to give congrats to you. Yay, Grandma. All right, next up is a conversation with Michael and I, two veterans, Army and Marine Corps, just talking. Join in with us, and if you are a veteran, I'd love to hear from you. My email address is blackmanwithagun@gmail.com. And now let's jump right into the conversation. It's taking the place of we used to have them forums. People just blah, blah, blah on there. Now you can see them doing the blah, blah, blah before it was written.
Yeah, I think what's taking place is the fact, like you said, everybody's doing the same thing, but everybody's only doing it up until, one, they either think they ran out of content, or two, they're only doing it for a motive, like SHOT Show. You know what I'm saying?
And that's not even a good goal.
No, not even.
SHOT Show is it's you've been there, right?
No, this will be my first time going.
Okay. SHOT Show works like this. If you're invited, you get to go to media day. If you're not invited, it starts on Tuesday. So it's in the same hotel, same Sands Convention Center. It's huge. The top floor looks like a regular convention, pretty much like the NRA's. And then there's probably 3 other floors of smaller booths. And the bottom floor is like a gun show. People are actually buying stuff down there. Holsters, stuff that's non-firearms related, hats, gun shop stuff. The big guys are upstairs, the Smith and Wesson and Glock, and they have the giant booths like cars. And there's like 5,000 bloggers. Everybody's trying to grab all the swag, all the keychains, all the patches off the table. The executives pretty much stay up on the 3rd floor near the media room. Media room's pretty big. You see all the bloggers in the podcast. That's like where everybody who's trying to do something is in there. And you go in there to sit down, drink coffee, eat some free stuff. And you just run out of there, from there to there, trying to get appointments with people. Because usually the CEOs of all the booths are either in meetings somewhere else. They're never on the floor unless there's the small section downstairs. And you're running into people, stars actually, people you didn't even know were pro gun will be walking by amongst the crowd. I mean, it's just so many people. It's probably 3 times the size of the NRA convention. And people are in between the casinos, and then in the evenings, there's private parties. So Smith & Wesson's, Taurus, different distributors will have parties, and there's invitations to that too. Sometimes you can go. It'd be open. Crossbreed holsters, not Crossbreed, but USCCA had like a private party from like 9 till 11 at a restaurant. And it's so deep of people, you can't even see who hosted the party. It's just like, it's amazing, man. It's like, you think it's the exact same circus of everybody trying to get in each other's face in person. The only cool part is you can like see people that you ain't seen in a long time. Just, hug them, go to dinner with them. That's about it. But it's tough. It's tough to get traction because you're kind of starstruck too. I mean, it's all the companies. I mean, all the firearms. It's foreigners there. It's folks from like China trying to steal ideas from people. Like I seen a company. This guy was like, he walked right by this guy. He goes, "What do you make?" And the guy goes, "I make I forgot what it was. It was like a quick release for a magazine and something else." And he goes, "How much does it cost to make?" And the guy says, "Well, I ain't gonna tell you that." He goes, "You want it made cheaper?" He said, I can do it same, look exactly the same for half of what you're paying right now." And the guy was like, "What?" So then the guy was like, "No, get away from here." So then he went to the next guy. It was some invention. Again, it was like a quick release or a scope mount or something. And they just like took pictures of it. And it was like spies. They were just walking around like copying stuff. it's a trip, man. Then you got them, you got cops, you got military people, you got all the reps from like every Homeland Security agency. They all got paid trip there, so they're buying stuff for their agency, and people are taking orders for stuff, and it's just a circus. I mean, of people for like 4 days in a row.
Wow. Yeah, I never been. I know like everybody who I spoke with, who's went before, everybody keeps saying the same thing. Like, you need to set your appointments.
Mm-hmm.
Do it now. And I'm just more like this. This is my first rodeo there.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna go and just live the experience. So,
yeah, and that's cool.
Yeah, and if anything sparks behind it, so be it.
But you live your whole life like that now. You all chill. You the chillest dude I know. Everybody else is like stressing, man, trying to get from A to B. You just like chilling, just walking around, like it's all good.
Yeah, I was like that in the military, and it pissed a lot of people off. Right? And a lot. I remember when the initial invasion happened in Iraq. I was in 2-7 infantry. When we got back from Iraq, 3-7 infantry was right across the parking lot, and it was a lot of people in 3-7 infantry that wasn't re-enlisted, and a lot of people had orders to go someplace else also. Mm-hmm. But their manpower was going to dwindle real fast.
Right.
So they came back and they, asked a lot of people. They put it out in formations. Hey, we're looking for volunteers to go over to 3-7 infantry, right? So if you was a troubled soldier and you already knew your chain of command was looking down upon you, this was your opportunity to get from under them to start over. So I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do 3-7 infantry. I went over there, and the situation was worse than what it was when I came from. So I had an E6 platoon sergeant. I was an E6, but he was promotable, and he was just intimidated of me, right? So to make a long story short, this guy complained to the first sergeant because now, remember when the Palm Pilots just came out and they was getting famous and big and everything, and people was using them in the business. Well, we started using them in the Army, and I figured out a way to incorporate it into the platoons so you can use it as a squad leader.
Oh, wow.
So, I was like real organized. And when I implemented it, like I came up with the format and everything on my own. Nobody asked me to do it. Went to to show him, the platoon sergeant, and he was like, that's never going to catch. And I was like, okay, cool. So I continued using it, and I was tracking like all the guys' equipment and everything on my Palm Pilot. He still got it. So next thing you know, the sergeant major came around. He saw me doing it, asked about it, and he stated that that's the way of the Army. That's where the Army is going, right? So now let me backtrack that. This E6, he was trying to set me up and kick me out the military.
Dang.
It was one time he complained to the first sergeant about me, and he stated he is too laid back to be an infantryman. No lie. That was his complaint, that I was too laid back to be an infantryman. And another complaint was that I was too much into technology.
Wow.
Right? And I was like, it's easy to see the direction the Army's going. You can look at the equipment that's coming out and see it's going that direction towards technology. So why wouldn't you better prepare yourself for it to come instead of waiting for it to hit to say, okay, it's here, So behind that, I was amazed behind that one, though.
Usually the folks who are laid back started off rough, had like some serious drama in their life, so they know the difference between real drama and when it's not. So people are like, man, don't you ever get upset? It's like, this isn't worth getting upset about. I grew up in worse situation than this.
Well, I can tell you, I grew up in Newport News, Virginia, so that should tell you a lot right there.
Yeah, that's why I think we related. How did the shooting the Walter go?
Oh man, I think it's so lovely.
Really?
Oh, goodness, yeah. Well, I won't say it's the Walther by itself. Even when I sat down and I tried to break everything down,
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking a lot of it has to do with shooting it a 5-inch barrel.
Really?
You know, I never shot a 5-inch barrel before. This is like the first time I shot this long of a barrel in a handgun. And I think that has a lot to do with, recoil management
Oh, definitely.
and
Gas will
shot
have time to burn
placement.
and all that stuff.
Right. So, but at the same time, my Smith & Wesson, I bought that for $500 and then I sent it off to get work done, which came back was like $1,200 worth of work.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So I pretty much got a race gun on a regular Smith & Wesson platform.
Well, we
right?
used to do that with 1911s back in the day because you get the government
Right.
issue and that thing was like rattling. And then it's made that way on purpose. I didn't know that in war, you don't want a race gun because a piece of grain of sand will shut the joker down. So they made law huge. And, but then we would spend like goo gobs of money to make it, personalized. And then after like a year, get bored with it and sell it. It's like, there was like a curse of the 1911. You wouldn't have it long.
So when I was comparing the Walther to the Smith & Wesson, it's pretty much neck and neck, with all the work I did to the Smith & Wesson.
Mm-hmm.
So one comparison that I actually made was all the work that I'd done on the Smith & Wesson, it's already in the Walther.
I got you.
Right. So MSRP on that, it's like $850 on the Walther.
Mm.
But when I looked at it, the tag in the store, it was $724.
Okay.
You see? So now let's put this in perspective. You go into the store and let's say you paid the $724 for the Walther, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if overall you look at it, I got $1,700 all in all in the Smith & Wesson. But for $1,000 cheaper,
yeah.
you get this the Walther, and it already has everything done to it.
Out the box,
man. The trigger is there. I mean, like the length of pull is reset. Man, oh man, I was like strictly amazed. And the new thing is, well, it's not really new. It's been going on now for about 1.5 2 years. Whereas, people was putting the red dot optics on their handguns.
right?
So Walther, the Q5 that I have, it comes with the attachments to do that. You just take the plate off, like unscrew the plate, put the plate on, and put the optic on top of the plate, screw it down.
Bam.
You're good. Yeah. So I was like, oh my goodness, man. But
it made me rent one now. It made me rent one now.
Hey, I'm telling you, go for it. Hey, go for it. Because I put a picture up on Instagram, whereas I got this Target piece of paper, and it got like the circles with 1 all the way to 10, or 1 to 13, something like that. And of course, I'm shooting it, and I'm like figuring out the zero, and you can set it also, like your zero on it. So I'm doing all the setting and everything. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to aim off the paper. So I aim, and then you can see like me aiming at the different places, just random. But my shot groups were so tight, and I'm standing like 20 feet away from the paper, regular distance. But I was just blown away at like how that, handgun just performed out the box.
What's the Q stand for?
Never asked. I know it's German. It's German made, so whatever Q stands for in German.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it has something to do with it. But I know when I first heard it, like, because they kept saying like the Walther Q5 match.
Oh, okay.
I looked at it as it was a shooting match. That's how I thought it was. Till somebody had to tell me, like, no, that's the model of the gun. But yeah, I never asked, but now I'm gonna go find out.
Okay, good deal.
Yeah, but yeah, go rent one. Try it out. Tell me what you think.
That's gonna be. I mean, I had an epiphany this morning. I've been going through, man, for a minute where I had definitely climbed up in that balcony with the old dudes from the Muppets. I was just getting grumpy on everything. I was hating on everybody. And I had to, if it wasn't for the fact that I'm a pastor, I'd have went to the dark side. I was just, I mean, that's like my only saving grace is that I still had a little bit of love in my heart. I wasn't a Grinch all the way, but I was close, man. My heart was thinking. But this morning I realized that I'm in my own way for the most part. Like there's quite a few new podcasters and bloggers that I haven't paid any attention to. I've been like Clint Eastwood, like, get off my lawn. I just been, just hating, man, just hating for no reason. And I ain't got no excuse for that. So this morning I thought, I can do better. And I'm gonna start like just listening to other people's stuff and just giving them applause, man. Just cheering them on for how far they going and what they're doing, and stop being a hateration king.
Well, I've always been the type of person that always said, like, if you hate on people, it slows you down. But if you congratulate everybody, you're going to go along. You're going to ride that wave also.
Yeah. That wasn't going nowhere.
So, yeah. So, but my whole thing is like, I got a few buddies of mine that just getting into podcasting, and a lot of other people like my buddy Trey and my other buddy Chris, they'll take a live show that they do, whereas it's like a question and answer seminar, and they'll turn that into a podcast. They really like it. But I know my other buddy Trey, he's doing a one-on-one with like different celebrities in the industry. He interviewed me for that podcast, and he's like, he really loves it, and
is it the Ghost Tactical dude?
Yeah, that's Ghost Tactical, named Trey. And when he had asked me, he asked me this probably 2 or 3 times a month, like my answer's ever going to change. But which one do you like doing better, is podcasts or the product reviews that you do? And I keep telling them it's neck and neck for me, but if I had to give up one or the other, I would give up the product review and stick with the podcast. He was like, really? And I was like, yeah, man, I'm a person of my word. And I've always told, Ken, that I'm there with him for the long haul. So if the ship sinks, I'm going down with it.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. This thing is so solid that even me acting a fool and not being positive, it didn't die. And then you came on just being the dude that you are. I had to go, wow. Why you want to be with an onion like me? Because I'm like, just I ain't as positive as I could be. The problem is, and I was talking to a dude the other day. He's been podcasting for 8 years and in this space in the Second Amendment community. He's like, yeah, I had to pull away for a minute because I'm a little burnt out. I'm thinking, you burn out after 8. Try 13. This is my 13th month, right? 13th year. And when you've done it all, it messes you up. Because see, the good and the bad of it is, this is an evergreen subject. Gun control is going to be going on after little Emma gets graduated. I mean, there's always been an argument since the Chinese brought gunpowder in. So it can tire you out. And I had to remember that today. So I was like, okay, how about I start enjoying myself some more? And that might help. So that's my epiphany. I'm gonna throw some more lead down range, start shooting some more. I might have to take some classes, I would like to get my Maryland State Police certification back, because at one time I had everything here. I mean, I had between FLETC instructor and state police here in DC and General Services Administration. I had the trifecta, and I was doing OC spray instructor. What else did I have? But it was so early that there was no way to market myself. So I was too early for what I was doing. You can be too early for your stuff, actually. And that's what happened to me. So all my frustrations come from being out there. Now, man, folks are having a good time, charging astronomical amounts of stuff and marketing themselves as experts. I'm thinking, yeah, right. But it's okay.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody earlier in the week about you because they was asking a lot of questions about the show and everything else that was going on with it.
Mm-hmm.
So when they had asked the question, I told them, I said, honestly, think about it. Ken is before his time. So if you was to take Ken and let him be born in 1974 and he did everything he's done for the gun community up until today, right? It will be different for you. You'll be like probably where Coleon is right now.
Yeah.
But because you was before your time, like you had to catch up to the incidents that was going on with the world, or the world had to catch up to you, however you want to look at it. But and then, of course, my buddy was like, "Man, I didn't even look at it like that." And I was like, "Yeah, man." So honestly, I said, when you speak to him, you can actually hear and predict what's going to happen off of just talking to him, because he thinks about it, and it's just like jiu-jitsu, it makes a full circle. So once you start off as a white belt, and by the time you get to the black belt, you're starting back over again. It's a full circle. So
that's true.
The way I look at it, yeah. So the way I look at it is, you started it off, you went through all the trials and errors, right? So you know what it takes. You went through the ups and downs, the rockiness, all the dilemmas and everything that's probably going to happen, what's going to happen next big in the gun community.
Because people don't change.
Yeah. So now, because it's already there and it's your second rotation, you're like the grandfather, the godfather.
Yoda.
Yeah. So now you can see black and just sit back and be like, gun control no good.
Like Yoda, man. I know. That's it, right?
Yeah.
You don't sleep on the little dude.
That's it. That's it all day, man. So, but like I said, overall, I wanted to ask you this when you were saying about all the training that you had. What was the most fun training you think you endured when you had all your certifications? Like, for instance, for me, when we went to when we was preparing to go to Iraq for the initial invasion.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah, all the training opened up for us. So beforehand, we was just going to the range and doing hip pocket training. But when it was time to go to war, now all this other stuff opened up for us. So it was like,
I got you.
Members from the special operations community came down. They was doing all the training. FBI, they came down, did some training with us. And then we went to Flat Sea down in Georgia.
Yep.
So my personal opinion, out of all the training that we received, even the marksmanship training that they hand selected certain people to do, the Flat Sea training was the best training I had, considering everybody didn't know what to expect when we was going, to war. But overall, I felt like going to Flat Sea, it made it well-rounded for us, But of course, to let it be known, the guys in Flat Sea, they didn't come in and say, okay, we're going to train you on this. They just opened up the facilities and allowed us to do what we normally do. So, we had our SOPs for entering and clearing a building and a room, but we also had our SOPs for the range. They didn't interfere with it, but they would sit back and give people, like little hints like, hey man, I saw you pulling the trigger like this. Try this. This might work better for you. You know what I'm saying? So they didn't come in and try to step on nobody's toes or anything like that.
Yeah, I did an interim as a Flat Sea instructor for a minute. I think the best training I had was, there was a trip that I was going on when I was with the agency, and they brought in, we had 3 different instructors. We had a guy from SOCOM, we had a guy from a Force Recon, it was some special Marine unit I ain't never even heard of before. That guy was excellent. And then we had driving instructor that they had NASCAR drivers teach us how to drive and shoot. That was like off the chain, because I drove like an old man back then. I had no idea about vehicle dynamics and braking and the whole thing about how cars move on the highway. And we were on this track up in West Virginia. That was the bomb class. I mean, I left out of there knowing how to break into cars, hot wire cars, J-turns, and you name it. We was doing high speed. The road, my whole driving thing changed after that. And the shooting, we were shooting so fast because back in the day, it was in the early 90s. We were going overseas to protect a family, and there were assassins that were killing Americans, and they would walk out into a crowd and from concealed draw and fire 2 shots and shoot the American in the back of the head and disappear back in the crowd. So we were learning. We even had we had somebody from Thunder Ranch that was they cleared him as a secret level to teach us, but it was like to outdraw and fire 2 rounds. So, man, I was smoking hot for a long time. And when the trip was over and we got back home, as a law enforcement officer back then, I was failing the shoot, don't shoot scenarios. They would put us in the simulator, and the little camera guy would turn his gun towards you, and you had to shoot the blanks at the screen or whatever. But because of the training that I took, I would nail the guy in his forehead if he blinked wrong. I mean, it was just, I was so sensitive to, if you reaching for something, it was a threat to me. It took a long time to come down from that thing until basically I got older and slowed down anyway. But it was funny because I was like, y'all really messed me up because I'm no longer like law enforcement trained, which they knew that. So they had to kind of keep me off a regular post, and I just stayed ready to travel and work with details because I was just that hyped up. It didn't, but that was great. I mean, it was the ultimate in conceal, carry, and protection. So I was just kind of hitting around last time about how drawing and firing 2 shots, that's where that came from. Back then, they got a new word for it now. It was Mozambique back in the day. 2 shots to the body, 1 to the head. But we had that thing down to a science. It would be like you're walking with a principal, you're a special detail, you come out of your car and somebody holler threat, and you see somebody with a automatic weapon or sidearm or whatever. And when that gun came up, you nailed them 3 shots. And then you were like turning and burning and get the principal out of the place. You didn't even look back to see if they got dropped. You just like hit them and left. And that was like our MO for like around the world. So when I got back home and folks were like, yeah, concealed carry and tactical. And when it was big back, it was a big thing like in the early or late 90s. And I was like, nah, I'm going to pass on that because I kind of did it for real. So,
right.
But then I thought, I'm going to come back here and I'm going to teach my people. I'm going to be the guy who saves lives, and I'm going to help people on the street, and it's going to be great. And my folks were like, we just want to buy a gun and go home. We don't want to have any training. Just take us to the range one time and give us a box of ammo, and that's all we want. And I was like, no, you got to know this tactical stuff. This is important. This will save your life. No, we just want to shoot 2 rounds and go home. And I was like, man, y'all killing me. And they did kill me. It was a slow death, man.
Oh man, you know what that reminds me of? A lot of stuff that we did in the military, it took about 5 years before it became popular in the civilian sector. And then by the time it's popping, it's like a lot of stuff I would talk like kind of down on. And be like, yo man, why would you do that? And, like some of the stuff we couldn't really talk about.
Right.
I couldn't say anything, but I was just more like, I just don't think that would interest me. And then I just leave it alone.
Yep.
But there's a guy, I think he lives in Florida, but I know his school is in LJ, Georgia. His name is Bill Rogers. And used to be in
Rogers Academy.
Yeah, Rogers Shooting School. Yeah, he used to be in the FBI.
Yeah.
And when he was in the FBI, it was when the revolvers were
the
big thing, So
I went through
he
that.
ended up, he left the FBI to start making holsters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because he had stated, I think that's how it goes, if I remember the story correctly. He left the FBI to start making holsters, and he actually got upset because their training wasn't realistic.
Yeah.
So he actually ended up, like I said, making the holsters, getting a contract with the FBI, and that backed this company. And then he turned around and started teaching the FBI matters of shooting.
Yeah.
Right. And then, of course, like their proficiency went up and everything. And I'm skipping a lot of the story because I vaguely remember it.
I remember those days.
Yeah. And then bottom line is he ended up doing Bill Rogers shooting school.
Yeah.
And somebody from special operations came up to hang out with him, however he knew them outside of the school environment, and stated, like, hey, we're going to do this IPSC tournament. So the guy was like, oh, yeah, he figured, oh, I'm in the military, special operations, I'm going to blow these guys out the water. Competition, they said like it was like a woman, that old woman blew them out the water with how fast she And
I probably knew who that is, probably named Gail.
Probably. So then he was like, okay, that was just one stage. Maybe that was just something she practiced. But he was like, everybody was blowing him out the water on each stage. So, of course, he went to Bill and stated he wanted to shoot like that. How can he shoot like that? So, special operations, back in the day, they used to have a lot of leeway. So this guy took the time off and stayed there with them. I can't remember the time frame. Let's just say 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And after the 2 months, he went back to his unit and was out shooting everybody at the unit because he was the sorriest one at his unit. So he started out shooting everybody. Chain of command started talking to him, and they sent a couple other people down there to link up with Bill Rogers.
Mm-hmm.
And the government came back and hired him under contract for 20 years.
Wow.
And when I went through the course, I think when I went through that agreement that he couldn't teach what he's teaching to the civilians for 20 years, had just let up for maybe a year.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And the only way I was interested in going, because the instructor at Homeland Security, of course, that I took on Fort Benning,
mm-hmm.
he told us that story, and he gave me the book, and I read the book, and I was like, oh man, this is pretty interesting. So I looked him up on the website, found out he had a shooting school. Then I went to the shooting school.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, but when you go to that shooting school, your way of thinking, because like how everybody always tells you, when you draw, keep your finger off the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
That shooting school, when you draw, your finger's already on the trigger, and you're starting to pull before you extend all the way out.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing like you was talking about what you was doing.
Yeah, and every instructor would just mess you up, because you would go to one group and they're like, don't do this way. And you had to just open your mind. The Smith School, Cooper, Farnham, Rogers, Mas Ayub, those guys are like the pioneers for that stuff. And most of them still around, thank God. Right. And all the disciples and the people who came after that, nobody talks about them anymore. Now everything is
passing of the torch.
Yeah, but it's different because those guys, those same guys I mentioned, they're not on social media. Not really. They hire somebody if they're lucky, but most of the time they're still. You'll see them. They're the guys that you'll see at SHOT Show. Actually, they'll be like the old dude. A lot of Yodas, man, floating around. They got not wheelchairs, but they got canes maybe, or they walking kind of slow. They got the old shoot me vest on and the comfortable man shoes. But them jokers still can wheel. And it was a progression, man. It went from, it was revolvers, and then it was the snub nosed, and then it was like Browning high powers. I was actually at FLETC in class when the Glock people showed up, and they were trying to show the federal cops that this is a new polymer metal gun. And they did some tests. Like they gave us the frame, and we dragged it behind our car while we was on campus to test, that it was like durable, and they let us shoot it in the water and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, that never was gonna go. And then Die Hard came out, and everybody was all afraid of this plastic gun, which really wasn't plastic. But that was the beginning when it first popped up in like '86. I was at Fletzy back then.
Yeah. I know that I shot the Glock. The first Glock I shot was when I did my shoots and snare. And I was stationed over in Germany, but deployed to Afghanistan. And of course, when nothing was happening, that's when they went ahead and they stated that they was going to go ahead and let us do the shoots and snare. So, but we shot the Glock for part of that award.
Shoot, I thought I was doing something when I bought the SIG. Got me a SIG P226, I believe. That thing was big as a brick back then. And it was really, really hard to put that thing on the holster. It was just ginormous. It was like having a encyclopedia on the side of your hip. But they've slimmed back down and more ergonomical and everything now. But back in the day, it was like a big chunky thing. I thought we used the stuff because I had that decocking lever that was all high speed back then.
I remember when we would get deployed, they would give certain people, the Berettas.
Mm-hmm.
And you always had like the top chain of command have the Berettas. So like your sergeant major, the battalion commander, they'll have like handguns.
Mm-hmm.
But when it came down to platoon level, the only people that would have the handgun would be everybody who had your crew served weapons. Your assault, not your assaults, but your 240s and the 60s. Because I guess somebody complained about hauling around like a regular weapon all day.
And 60 ain't no joke, dude.
Yeah, man, like big log you walk.
That's a big joke right there.
Yeah. So I remember this guy, he had a Beretta, and he trying to show off like, oh yeah, I got this, you got that.
Right.
I was more like, well, I bet you don't know how to shoot it. And he just sat there and just kept like whatever. And like when I was over there, stationed over in Germany, my unit they didn't like me too much because I just came off of drill sergeant duty. Right?
Oh yeah.
So sergeant major used to do this thing like once a week. I mean, not once a week, but once a month, where he used to take like a squad from a platoon, take them to the range or do some form of training. Because my sergeant major then, he was involved in Mogadishu, the Black Hawk Down incident. So his whole thing was, it was always on defense and shooting, So when we was doing the shooting, we was like 75 yards away from the target line.
Mm.
And that joker went up and put a piece of an index card on the head target, on the head of the target. So, when he came back, and, Sergeant Major, he was always talking smack, but I was the only one that would always say something to him because I was always challenging him, right? But he respected me for that, and I knew him when I was a drill sergeant also, so that kind of helped a little bit. And when he put it up there, he came back and was like, who thinks they can shoot that head target, put 10 shots into the head in the index card, all right? Everybody sat there and was looking at each other. And I was like, I can do it. And he said, sitting. I can do it. Right. Then he was like, prove it. So I went ahead and I sat down, and, my hip is messed up. So, I'm turned in a little bit more, because I was in an explosion in Iraq. So when I'm sitting there and everything, and, the key to when you're shooting, when you're sitting, is you want to lean. But I couldn't only lean but so far because it was putting the pressure on my hip, So, but I started putting them shots into the target because, you can hear the soldiers talking like, oh, Lord, it's Sergeant Woodland. Yeah, whatever, So you get 2 shots, then you hear like, okay, 5 shots, what? 8 shots, man. Sergeant Woodland can shoot like this, So I ended up putting like half a magazine, 15 rounds,
Nice.
into it. And then before I got to the end, I remember the sergeant major, he kept saying like, hey, good shooting, Sergeant. Lean forward a little bit more, control your recoil. But because of the way my legs were crossed and I was sitting, like I said,
couldn't go any further.
couldn't go any further because it was putting that pressure on my hip. And even if I would have went further, it would have been altering my shot because I would have been fighting for more comfort versus making the shot.
Using the pocket, stay where you at.
Oh yeah.
Folks always try to adjust you when you're doing well.
Well, one thing I can say about that Sergeant Major was he was a perfectionist, but he didn't know I was heavy into shooting as I was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he knew I was into jiu-jitsu, but he didn't know I was into guns, but he was given the proper advice, which was, hey, if you lean forward, you'll control that recoil a little bit better. But like I said, when you get hurt in a previous war, there's only so much you can do.
Speaking of that, it's Veterans Day weekend. Any shout outs to anybody that you still contact with?
Oh yeah. I want to encourage everybody to go to my Instagram page or go to M-W Tactical Facebook page. And there's a post on there, whereas I have a buddy of mine who's in basic training right now. And I put his address up there. And if everybody will just take the time to write him a letter. All right. So if you want to copy this down, hopefully you're not driving when you're listening to this. But his address is, Private Mason George, Echo Company, 1st Battalion, 19th Infantry, 198th Infantry Brigade, 8775 Albanese Drive, Alpha Lima, Bravo, Alpha, November, Echo, Sierra, Echo Drive, Fort Benning, Georgia, 31905. Once again, his name is Private Mason George. George Mason is his name, but of course, when you put it up there, you know how you do the last name first. But I put it up there on my social media for everybody to just send him a letter just to say, what's up to him. He's a good friend of mine. We did jiu-jitsu together when he was here in Columbia, South Carolina. I do believe that by me always talking about the military, that was something that drove him to go into the military, but I just want everybody just take time just to say, hey, I appreciate what you're doing, for the country. And just send them a token of, hey, to make them smile.
Heard that. As a vet, what can people say to you to make you smile, make you feel good?
Nobody really has to say anything to me. Only thing I want is everybody to live their life, do the right thing, and we all live in harmony and together. Perfect world.
Piece of cake, we can do that.
Yeah. But, the bottom line is just take care of your families, enjoy the rights that we have, but, at the same time, help out your fellow man. And I honestly believe one hand washes the other. And if we was to do that, that makes society so much better. I mean, we do it in the military, so it has to extend to the civilian sector more than what it is right now.
Yeah, make sure you take care of somebody. Take care of your family. Take care of the people that you're responsible for. We got to be better stewards of what we've been given.
Right. So, when I was in the military, it used to upset me when everybody used to always, thank you for your service, and it used to upset me to the point when I literally wouldn't say nothing to people. I just turn and walk the other way, or I just keep walking like I didn't hear them. Now, if somebody was to say it to me, I just be like, my honor, my pleasure. And I just keep walking,
Yeah, just like me, not being grumpy anymore. Same thing.
Oh yeah.
Take you a minute to come back.
Yeah, but like at the same time, everybody has a different story of why they came into the military.
Yeah.
Some people did it for the college reasons. Some people did it, for, like to escalate for the next career. And when I say that is, a lot of people who don't have experience in law enforcement, if they was to try to go into the FBI or the DEA or something like that, they would tell them, hey, go get the military experience, which is the minimum was 3 years, and then they can go in there and try to make it. And another thing I seen when I was in the Army, a lot of people who are considered rich would send their children into the military just to give them that little bit of discipline level
and values.
You know,
yeah.
So whatever your reason, just make sure you're true to it and just uphold your end of the bargain and just live life.
Yeah.
All
right, man, we're going to wrap it up for this week. And any closing words?
Only thing I want to say is just go check out m-wtactical.com and click on the media links. And there you can go ahead and go to everything that I'm associated with on the internet these days. We still got the GoFundMe. Yeah. So we still got the GoFundMe campaign going on. So for anybody who wants to contribute to the GoFundMe campaign, it's gofundme.com/m-wtactical. And we're still trying to get the 2 other officers out of 3 into jiu-jitsu training for a year. And the one guy that's in right now, he is going every week, going strong, and he is loving it. So I want to get the other 2 officers in there, but I need people to go ahead and start donating to that so we can raise the funds to get them through that training as well. So that's my early New Year resolution, is to raise about $3,000 more so we can get those other 2 people into that training.
Sounds good, man.
Yeah.
All right, Doc. I will talk to you again next time.
Sounds like a plan.
Get the book that started it all. Black Man with a Gun, Reloaded. It's the story of a man who's helped change gun rights in America, one heart at a time. It's a primer for the firearms enthusiast, and it's a fun read. It's the story of Ken Blanchard, host of Blanchard Outdoors. Get yours on Amazon.com.
Yeah, you heard that right. They said Blanchard Outdoors. I had a television show that lasted all of about 3 months back in 2014. But the advertisement is still good. You can get this book on Amazon.com or go to book.blackmanwithagun.com. All right, that's a wrap for this week. Thank you for staying till the end. I want to thank all my Patreon supporters. You guys are making a difference, because sometimes the bills come and I'm like, where's the money going to come from? And you guys come through with that. So thank you so much. That's patreon.com/blackmanwithagun. I got 26 of you guys. So I got at least 26 listeners to this show, and it's much appreciated. If you would give me as little as 1 cup of Starbucks money a month, what's that, $4.50, $5, you make a difference in my world. Again, thanks for serving all the veterans out there. Appreciate you so much. Quick shout out for Gunfighter Cass, my man, the Shaw man, and his beautiful bride and son and rabbit. Love you guys. I'm going to put that address that Michael talked about in the show notes so you can get it if you want to help the young Army guy out. Give him some love. And before I go, I want to give you a shout out for 2 different shows that I'm also doing. If you need a little spiritual help, and it helps me help you, that's at speaklifechurch.net and speaklifepodcast.com. And if you just want to hear me kicking around some crazy topics, check out kenspodcast.com. And that's KENNS podcast.com for my new show, The New Ken Blanchard Show. And it smells like Old Spice. That's a whole lot for you to remember, but there'll be links in the show notes just in case you can check it out in your spare time. One more last thing. I just got to let you know that you matter to me. Sometimes it falls upon a generation to be great. We can be that great generation. Just in case nobody told you this today, I love you, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. Until the next time you hear my voice, shalom, baby.